The focus for today is building strength and capacity in the body, which means we'll be moving slowly and efficiently because I really want to make sure that you get the exercise correctly in your body. That said, if anything that feels like it's too much, take a break, adapt, and adjust as needed. For class today, you need 2 yoga blocks, your ball, but if you don't have your ball, please stay and you'll use a rolled up towel instead. And wrist weights are optional. And wrist weights are a great way to add a little bit of an extra load into your practice, which is really good for bone density and muscular strength and muscular endurance, but they are not necessary. And if you're wondering if you should be using them or what kind you should be using, just reach out to me and we can figure it out together. It is a full body strength practice, which means we're going to be working the entire body with an emphasis on building strength and capacity. If anything becomes too much over the course of the practice, adapt and adjust as needed because your practice needs to work for you. We're going to get started. We're going to start with our squats. So I'm just going to leave my lesson plan here. And we want to do something called elevate squat, which basically means you're finding the squat that works for you. We're going to get the hands on the chest, the thumbs are at the sternum, and the legs are a little bit wider than hip width apart. You're going to keep your chest up and your back long, and you want to come down to your elbows touch your knees. Now, if for any reason this is too much for you, go down a little bit less. This can also be done going into a chair, but it's really important that we practice these movements so that when we're outside in the real world, we're able to do them. If you can't go down as far as I am, that's absolutely fine. Keep your back long. We're going to get one more time, and then we're going to come up. From here, the hands are on the hips. Your toes are facing forward. So imagine your feet are facing, let's say, 12 o'clock. You're going to shift both feet 5 degrees to your left. We'll call that 11 o'clock. Your hands are on your hips. You're going to micro bend your left knee, and you're going to lean forward with a long back. So we're preparing for an exercise that we call Russian windmills, which is a super duper core strengthener. The key here is that you're moving from your hips. You're hinging from your hips. So if you're feeling really tight today, first of all, you're not alone. Second, come over less, as I'm demonstrating now. But if you can, let's get 2 more times. See if you can get parallel to the floor. Again, hinging from the hips. Let's get 1 more time. And then come up, feet forward. Pivot your feet 5 degrees to the right. We'll call that 1 o'clock. Hands are on your hips. We're going to pivot or hinge from the hips. And what this is doing, it's working the core, it's working on our hip mobility, and it's letting our body know not to stay in one place, not to stay stiff. Let's see you come over a little bit more. Preparing for our Russian windmills, which are coming up. Hinging from the hips. Let's get 1 more time. So good. So those 2 exercises that we just did, we're going to repeat. We're going to make them a little bit more challenging. Hands are at your chest, thumbs are at your sternum. We're going into our squats. We're going to be doing 12 together. So we're going to come down. Please take your time. Try and go slower than me, not faster. Now, if you cannot come down all the way, that's absolutely fine. But you want to try and come down with a long spine. If you feel like this is too deep, go a little bit less. We want to keep the body moving. We want to be able to squat down not only in class, but in real life. Keep the chest up. Let's get 6 more times. Elbows to the knees if possible. Chest stays up. Back is long if possible. Try and do every rep with me. Need to take a break, that's okay. We have 4 more times. Elbow to the knee. 3, and the way you get better at doing these is by practicing them. If you can't do all of them, that's all right. Let's get 2 more times. Let's get 1 more time. Excellent. Now, hands are on your hips. Your feet are facing forward. Feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart. You're going to pivot both feet 5 degrees to your left. Your right hand is on your hip. Your left arm now is reaching down. We're going to see if we can touch the floor. So that's 1. Now, if you cannot go all the way down, go halfway down as I'm demonstrating now. The goal of this exercise is to keep your back long and core strong. That's number 3. Let's get 3 more times. Fingertips to or towards the floor. Hips are pivoting back. Let's get 2 more to make it 6. Can't go all the way down, that's all right. Pivoting from the hips, 1 more time. Excellent. Hands are on the hips, feet forward. Take a second there. Pivot feet 5 degrees the other way. Left hand on the hip, micro bend your right knee. You're going to pull your hips back and your right fingertips are going on or towards the floor. If you feel like you need to round over a lot to get down on the floor, come down less. You can even bring your hand to a yoga block. We're in number 3. The key with this one is as you come down, reach your torso forward. Have your spine be long and strong. Let's get 2 more times. Let's get 1 more time. Take your time. And then come up. Come to the center. We're going to do 1 more round and we're going to elevate this, amplify this, make it a little bit harder. Hands are at your chest. Elevate squats. So we're going to come down, but now when we come up, we're going to see if we come onto the balls of the feet, just for a second, and then come down. Now, if that's impossible for you, no need to do it today, but if it feels just a little shaky, why don't you try it? Let's be shaky inside our home so that we can take risks and be stronger outside our home. Let's get 3 more times. As you come up to the balls of the feet, take a second. 2 more, a little bit higher if possible. So good. 1 more time. Come up, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Excellent. Heels down, hands on your hips. 1 more round of Russian windmills. So pivot your feet 5 degrees to the left. But now, instead of your hand on your hip, your arm is up. Right arm up, left arm down. Fingertips go down to the floor and then come up. Now, if this is too much for you, you bring your right arm back onto your hip. No worries at all. Let's get 2 more times. Pivoting at the hips, reaching your torso forward. Let's get 1 more time. Fingertips down if possible. Then we come up. Hands are on your hips. Face the front. Pivot. Left arm is up. Right fingertips reaching down. Down to the floor. If you can't touch the floor, go towards the floor. The goal here is to keep the arms long and to reach the torso away from the pelvis. Strong arms, long spine. Let's get 2 more times. Let's get 1 more time. Now we're talking. Come back to the center. Hands are on the hips. Please pick up your ball, and if you don't have a ball, you can use a rolled up towel and place the ball between your right forearm and your right waist, just like this. And we're just going to push the ball into the body. It should feel good, and reach the left arm over. Now, if this is too much for you, do it less. But see if you can push the ball securely into your hip. It should feel good. And reach your left arm over your head. 1 more deep breath. And then come back to the center. Other side. So the ball goes between your left arm and the left side waist. Press the ball into the body. This should feel good. And then reach the arm over. Now, if this feels like it's too much, just go over a little bit less. No worries at all. Take a deep breath, inhale, and exhale. 1 more deep breath, and exhale. Okay, we're going to do that 1 more time, but we're going to take it up a notch. So please take the ball back to the side of the body. Squeeze the ball gently between the arm and the side waist. But now take your left hand behind your head. And then we're reaching over. Now, as you reach over, bend the knees, and then bring your attention to your left elbow, the one that's going towards the ceiling, and pull it back. Push ball in. Rotate elbow back. Shift hips away from ball. There's a stretch. Deep breath, inhale, and exhale. 1 more like that. And then slowly, here's the best part, you come up, and the left side is so nice and long. Let's get the other side. So the ball is between your left forearm and the left side waist. And then your right hand goes behind your head. And I'll show you a little bit from this side. And then we're going to reach over like we did before. Now the key here is to push the ball into the body as you take that right elbow and spin it up. Bend both knees, push into your inner heels. Take a deep breath, inhale, and exhale. One more like this. And exhale. And then slowly, slowly bring yourself up. Working on lower back and hamstring strength. You're going to take the ball and you're going to place it at your lower back. And then you're going to place your hands on top. Now, if you feel like this is too much, you can do it without the ball, but it really is a super fabulous stretch for the chest and shoulders. But if it's too much, just take your hands on your body. Now we're going to pivot from the hips like we did in the Russian windmills. So you start with your head at 12 o'clock, and then you take it over to, let's say, that would be 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, and then come up. The key here is to pivot from your hips and to keep pushing the ball into your back. If you feel like your back is rounding as you come over, the solution is to come over a little bit less for today. We want to practice that hip hinge that will strengthen our glutes, our hamstring, and our lower back. Let's get 2 more times. Pivot from the hips, push the ball into your back, your elbows are up. Let's get 1 more time. Let's come over, 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 push ball into back, elbows up, and then come back to the center. Take a second there. Take the ball once more to the side between the right arm and the right side waist and reach over. That should feel good. Point the left fingertips, push the ball into the hip, find your breath. If it's too much, do it less. If you want more, stretch a little bit deeper. It's your practice, your body. See what you need today. And then come up. Let's get the other side. So take the ball between the left arm and the left side waist. And then you reach over. So if you wanted to go super intense, you would reach over a little bit more. But can you breathe? Push the right inner heels into the floor. Shift your hips away from the ball. Deep breath, inhale, and exhale. Excellent. And then come up. One more of what we like to call good morning. So you're going to take this ball onto your back. You're going to press the hands down. Find your best posture. Let the legs be wide. The knees are slightly bent. Pivot over from your hips. This is a back and hamstring strengthener. If you're finding like this is too much, go over less. So instead of going over to 3 o'clock, which is this, you'll go over to 2 o'clock, which is a little bit higher. Let's get 4 more. As you come up, can you push your inner heels into the floor? Can you find your best, greatest, strongest posture today? Let's get 2 more. Can you project your sternum away from your hips, keeping your spine long and your hips flexible? 1 more time, please. So great. Bring yourself up. Excellent work. We're going to take that ball. We're going to put it to the side for now, and we're going to come down into all fours. So now we're going to work on the same idea of strength and length, but in an all fours position. Have the hands underneath the shoulders, have the knees underneath the hips. If you need padding, grab a blanket, put that underneath your knees. You're going to push your hands into the mat and around the back. Notice the length and the strength we've already cultivated today. We're going to do 4 circles to the right. This should feel good. If you feel like there's a lot of snap, crackles, and pops, please make your circles smaller and then go the other direction. Notice for yourself that one side might feel a little bit more coordinated. That is all right. That's why we're doing it. Come to the center, pause here. We're going to round the back 1 more time. We're going to drop the head. We're going to push our hands into the mat and stretch the mat forward. We're going to drop our head so much that our scalp is not facing our fingers, but it's in between our wrists. Let's get 2 more deep, full, luxurious breaths, and then we're going to slowly come back to the center. So now we want a neutral spine, which means our scalp is reaching forward, our hands are down, and our tailbone is reaching back. We're going to take the right leg and we're going to take it out. So your right leg is straight, your left leg is bent. So think about this as preparation for plank. Your hips are level, and we want to really focus on the arms in this one. So push your hands into the mat and stretch it forward. Get this feeling of strength in your upper body, and then take your left leg and have it meet your right. Now, what do you do if this is too hard? Let your hips pivot up. But if you can, stay here for another moment. Reach your scalp away from your pelvis, push your hands into the mat, and then left knee down, right knee down. Shift it side to side. Let's get the other side. So first you take your left leg out. And if this is a lot, you just stay right here. It's absolutely fine. But let's practice really precise form in plank. Push your hands into the mat, stretch the mat forward. And then your hips are level. Then when you're ready, right leg, pause here. Scalp away from pelvis. Hands push into the mat. Deep breath, inhale and exhale. So great. And then your right leg comes down and your left leg comes down. Bring yourself up. So we don't need to do a zillion planks, but we want to do them correctly. And we also want to move in plank because that's when we really use our core moving through space. So please take a yoga block and put it down on your mat and then have your hands framing the yoga block. So it looks like this. Then we're going to come back into our plank and we're going to move our chest forward and back, facing the brick. So push your hands down, take your right leg back. Take your left leg back. Now, imagine you had a flashlight on your sternum and shine it above the yoga block and back. And we call this moving plank. If it's impossible for you, please go back on your knees. If it simply feels difficult, we're probably okay. Keep the abdominals in, keep the spine long. Let's get one more time. So good. Right leg down, left leg down. Bring yourself up for a second. So we're going to do that again, but starting with the left leg. And we're trying to be controlled in this plank because that will build our upper body and our core. Take your time, set yourself up. Pause here, take the left leg back, take the right leg back. Now we're in a plank. If it's way too hard, you could have your hips hike up, no worries at all. Now we're going to move forward and back. Imagine a flashlight on your sternum, on your breastbone, and you're shining the flashlight to the top of the yoga block and then the bottom of the yoga block. Let's get 3 more times. Love these. 2 more. 1 more time. Pause here, scalp forward, and then knees down. Take a second there. Please sit back onto your heels. We're in what we like to call Horner seat. If this is impossible for you, lean yourself forward. Lace your hands behind your back. Open up your chest. Find your stretch. If you need to adjust your seat, please do, but take an extra moment here to stretch the chest and shoulders. Deep breath, inhale and exhale. 1 more like that. And exhale. Excellent. Release that. We're going to put our props to the side and we have one more thing on all fours. We're going to be on all fours, knees are underneath the hips, and then we're going to take the left forearm down. So now we're in what we like to call an asymmetrical table. You're going to take the right leg out to the side. We call this hip fluency, and we're going to lower and lift the right leg 8 times. Please take your time with this and work on the precision of the movement. What we're going for today is the height of the leg. So our legs, our glutes, our abductors, the side of our legs, have a moment of getting stronger at the top of the movement. Let's get 3 more times, please. 2 more. 1 more time. I'm going to ask you to hold it. Maybe a little bit higher. Excellent. Bring that down. Come up to all fours. Notice the profound difference between the 2 sides. We're going to be on the right forearm and the left hand, working on the left leg. We're going to take the left knee directly out to the side, and then we're going to come down. Now take your time with this, and the goal is to try and get the left knee as high or almost as high as the left hip. If you're finding it easy, it's probably because your leg is too far back. But if you need a break, feel free to do that. Let's get 2 more times. Let's get 1 more time. I'm going to ask you to hold it. Hold it there. Excellent. And then come back to the center. Come back to all fours. We're going to do 1 more round, but we're going to make it a little bit harder by lengthening the lever. I'll show you exactly what I mean. We're in the left forearm and the right hand. Pause here. We're going to go into our hip movement. We're going to take the right leg up. Now we're here. Now we're going to straighten the right leg. Then we're going to bend it, and then we're going to bring it down. 3 more like that. First, your leg comes up. Take your time, please. No rushing. Extend it, bend it, and then go down. Go slower than me, not faster if possible. Take it up, extend it, bend it, and then take it down. One more opportunity to get strong on the right side. Extend the leg, bend the leg, bring it down, come back to all fours. Super fabulous. Let's get the other side. So we're on the right forearm and the left hand, working on the left leg. Lift the leg up, pause. Extend the leg, bend the leg, bring it down. See if you can be precise today. Now, if this is way too difficult, the solution is to decrease the lever. In other words, don't straighten the leg. Let's get one more time together, please. Extend the leg out, bend the leg, and then come back to the center. And notice the feeling of strength and length in your hips and legs. Your toes are tucked under. We're coming up into our first downward facing dog today. Find your breath, find your awareness. Take a moment here. Drop the head, stretch the hands forward. Few deep breaths. One more like that. And then slowly, slowly bring that down. Now we're going to work directly on glute strength, which means we're going to come all the way down into our bellies. So we're going to lie down on the floor, and then we're going to bring our head down to our hands. Now I know you need to see, right? But once you are set up, see if you can relax your head, and then we're going to lift up the right leg, stretch it back. Lift up the left leg, stretch it back. Let's do that one more time. Lift up the right leg, stretch it back. Lift up the left leg, stretch it back. Now, if it's more comfortable for you, you can drop your head down to your hands, or you can keep your head up. What are we doing right now? We're strengthening the glutes. Both hips are going to stay as close to the floor as possible. Point the right foot and lift the right leg up. Hold that. Pause. Get the leg crazy straight. Feel the strength, the length, the power in your right glute, and bring that down. Other side. Take the left leg up. See if you can keep your hips level. If you can't, it's all right, but you're trying to keep both hips down. Point the toe, lift the leg a little bit straighter. Hold that. And then bring that down. Let's get one more each way. So your right leg comes up, point the toe, lift it up a little bit higher, keep the hip down if possible, and then bring it down. Last time, lift the leg up, working on strengthening the glutes. Hold that, and then slowly, slowly bring that down. Come up to all fours. Take a second, shift side to side, and notice the feeling of strength, maybe a little bit of fatigue in the glutes. We're going to come back up into a downward facing dog. We're going to bend the knees, drop the head, reset, recover, recalibrate. 3 deep breaths here. We're going to slowly come back down to all fours. We're going to do one more set or one more round of those glute strengtheners. But we're going to make it a little bit more challenging. And the way we're going to make it challenging is that instead of alternating, we're going to do 4 in a row. So first, lift up your right leg, stretch it back. Lift up your left leg, stretch it back. Then you can stay like this, or you can drop your head. You decide what feels better for you. The right leg is going to come up, pause, and then we bring it down. Same leg, please. Right leg up, pause, bring it down. 2 more, working on strengthening the glutes. So super important. One more time, I'm going to ask you to hold it. Straighten the leg. Pin the right hip down. Point the right toes. Bring that down. Other side. So first, you point your left toe, and then you lift it up. So you're trying to clear the floor with your left thigh. But if you can't come all the way up, that's all right. And then come down. And then again, working on the strength of the glutes. And then come down. Let's get 2 more times. I know, let's get one more time. I'm going to ask you to hold it here. Point the toe. Pin the left hip down. Lift the leg a little bit higher, and then slowly come down. Hands underneath your shoulders. Come back to all fours. Shift it side to side. Downward facing dog. But this one, we're going to walk the feet in a little bit. We're going to bend the knees, and we're going to start to pedal the feet. Getting a nice stretch in the calves, nice stretch in the hamstrings. Working on our balance and coordination. Let's get a few more times. See if you can aim the inner heel down so it's going down quicker then the outer heel. I'm going to repeat that. Get the inner heel down before the outer heel and see what that does for your hamstring, your inner thigh. Let's get 3 more times each way. 2 more. 1 more. Excellent. Then bend both knees and bring yourself down. So good. We're shifting gears, still working on core, still working on glutes, adding on to bridge. So you're going to take your ball and you're going to place your ball between your adductors, between your inner thighs, and then we're going to lie down on the floor. This is also a great place if you need a break. Take a moment here. Your arms are in what we like to call a low V. They're out to the side, and you're going to gently squeeze the ball. So just squeeze. And notice the simple act of squeezing the ball wakes up the core, the inner thighs, feels really good and stabilizing on the hips. And then release the ball. And then squeeze the ball. So we all can agree that we can squeeze the ball with our hips down. Now we're going to do the same thing with our hips up. It's not as easy. Gently squeeze the ball, come up into bridge. We're going to fortify our bridge. So what does that mean for our class? It means we're rounding the back, so the hips are coming towards the ribs. And now we're going to squeeze the ball 8 times. So we have 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hold it, hold it, hold it, come up a little bit higher. Pause here, push into your inner heels, and then slowly, slowly roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. We got 1 more of those. Gently squeeze the ball, bring yourself up into bridge. We're going to fortify our bridge by rounding our back. We're going to build our bridge by squeezing the ball slowly 8 times. More experienced students, not only do you want to squeeze the ball, you want to think about sending the ball away from you. In other words, get the legs as long as possible. Let's get 2 more times. Hold that there, round the back, dig into your inner heels. So good. And then we're going to slowly, slowly bring that down. Please take the ball to the side. We're going to come back up into bridge and work a little bit extra on hamstring strength. So walk the feet together as if you have, let's say, a skinny yoga block between your legs. It's a little bit narrower than before. We're going to come up into bridge. From here, we're going to round our back. So let's get that first. The back is rounded, right? Now push into your right inner heel and take the left leg up. Point the left toes. Pause here. 3 counts, 2 counts, 1 count. Bring the left foot down. Let's come down in between. Notice the effect on the right hamstring. Other side. So push into your feet, bring yourself up. Round your back, pause here. Push into your left inner heel and get the right leg up. So as you point your right toes towards the sky, you're pressing, anchoring your left inner heel into the floor. Let's get 2 more breaths. So good. And then slowly, right foot down, let's come down together. Adding on to that. And just like before, the way we make it more challenging is we do a couple in a row versus alternating the legs. So first, press into your feet, roll the shoulder blades back, and bring yourself up into a bridge. Now, round your back. Now, push into the right inner heel, left leg up. Pause here. Your arms are down. We're going to lower and lift our hips slowly. See if you can get your hips all the way to the floor, and then elevate your bridge so your hips are as high as you started the exercise. Not an easy task. Let's get 1 more time. I'm going to ask you to hold it here. Point your left toes, dig into your right inner heel, round your back, pause. So good. Left foot down. Let's come down in between. Let's get the other side. So first you push into your heels, come up into bridge. Then you fortify your bridge by rounding your back. Then push into your left inner heel, your right leg is up. Point your right foot, lower and lift 4 times. Slowly. See if you can roll down your hips so your lower back touches the mat before your pelvis. Please take your time. And the effort here is getting your leg up as high as when we started, right? Let's get 1 more time. Hold it. Pause. Point toe. Round back. So good. Bring that down. Take a second here. Notice how the glutes are stronger, a little bit more activated elevated. From here, we're going to take the ball and we're going to place the ball between the inner thighs. So give that a gentle squeeze. And if you need a break, you could stay right here, squeezing the ball, activating the inner thighs, waking up the core. But we're going to take this up a notch. Your hands are behind your head. And we're going to come up to what we like to call a triple crunch. So a slight squeeze on the ball, and then we come up a little bit more, a little bit more, and then we come down. We come up part 1, part 2, part 3, and then we come down. We come up part 1, part 2, part 3, and then we come down. 2 more times. Slide the ribs forward in towards the hips. Let's get one more time. Part 1, part 2, part 3, and then we come down. So great. So it's a 3-part crunch, and we're going to add on to that. But if the next exercise is too difficult, you stay with the one we just did. You're going to squeeze the ball. You're going to take the legs up to tabletop. Your knees are in line with your hips. You're squeezing the ball. Hands are behind your head. Same 3-count crunch. So you come up part 1, part 2, knees to elbows, release to tabletop. Part 1, part 2, knees to elbows, release to tabletop. Part 1, part 2, knees to elbows, release to tabletop. 2 more. Part 1, part 2, knees to elbows, release to tabletop. 1 more. 1, 2, hold, 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 and then everything comes down. So great. We're going to take the ball, we're going to put it to the side. We're going to take both hands behind the head, legs are back up to tabletop, going into yoga bicycle. So your left elbow is going to go towards your right knee, and your left leg is going to point out towards the wall. And then we switch. Now, if this is too difficult for you, have your legs pointing towards the ceiling. And if that's still too much for you today, just do the upper body. Let's see if we can get 16, 15, bring your ribs towards your opposite hips, 14, 13, so good, 12, 11, see if you can point your toes just a little bit more, super straightening your legs, sliding your ribs towards your opposite hips. Let's get 8 and 7 and 6, join in if you stopped, 5, we're almost there, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that down, relax the arms. Have your feet go a little bit wider than your hips. Arms are out to the side. Go into a wide-legged bridge twist. Hold that. Allow your left hip to elevate and your right thigh to be heavy. Just a few breaths. Slowly bring that back to the center. Let's go the other side. So you allow the legs to fall. And once you allow the legs to fall, allow your right hip to be buoyant and your left thigh to be heavy. Just a few breaths. Notice the space, the heat in the body. From here, we're going to come back to the center and we're going to bring our feet into what we like to call a butterfly pose. Now, if this is too much for you, you can have your feet flat on the floor, but we are going to be doing an abdominal exercise in this position. So your feet are together, your legs are falling to the side, and notice that there's some space underneath your lower back, and that's fine. But now I'd like you to decrease that space by pressing your lower back into the floor, and then let the space come up. So in other words, we're rounding the back, and then we're not. Let's get 2 more times, and this should feel good on the hips, and if for any reason it doesn't, you could have your feet flat. 1 more time, press the back down, and then come up. So now we're going to add that action into a double butterfly crunch. Both hands are behind your head. So part 1, your torso comes up. Part 2, your lower back goes down. Part 3, everything comes together. Part 4, release it down. Part 1, torso up. Part 2, lower back down. Part 3, elbow to the knees. Part 4, everything comes down. Part 1, torso up. Part 2, round the back. Part 3, elbows to the knees. Part 4, everything comes down. 1 more. Part 1, torso. Part 2, anchor the back. Part 3, elbow to the knees. Part 4, everything comes down. So great. Please take the ball and place it underneath the hips. This should feel good. And if you don't have a ball, you can use a towel or a blanket. We're going to take the right leg only and extend it out. So your left leg is bent, your right leg is long. Take your hands on your hips and allow your right thigh bone to roll open. This should feel good. If it doesn't, bend your knee, okay? You'll have more control that way. Just a few breaths here. Getting the tightness out of the hips, feeling the strength in the core and the legs. Bend your right knee, take your left leg out. So let it roll open and let the left hip be heavier than the right. Take a few breaths here, the focus being feeling the strength in your legs and core and getting any last minute bit of gnarliness out of the hips. From here, we're going to bend both knees, your feet are on the floor, and then we're going to just a little bit tilt the pelvis like we've done so many times today. So you can get your hands on your hips and you could pull your hips towards you. You move the ball a little bit and then you release. And this is a great way, let's do that a few more times, to release the lower back after a long day of sitting, after a long core workout like we just had. Such a great tool. Having the ball underneath your hips adds more balance, adds more room for you to move and get the gnarliness out of your back. Let's get one more time. Again, we're going to round the back and then we're going to slowly, slowly come back to neutral. We're going to elevate the hips. We're going to take the ball and one of our yoga blocks. We're going to place the ball underneath our shoulder blades. And the yoga block, let's start with it the middle way. You might need to raise it up or down, but what we're looking for is an upper back and shoulder stretch. So the ball is underneath the shoulder blades and the head is supported. Now, there's 3 choices here. Right now it's the middle way. This would be the highest way. If you have a cold or you feel like you need some more support, you could also take it the lower way. Just decide the one that you can breathe in. Know that there's many options. Know that the deepest stretch doesn't mean you're enlightened. It just means you're in a deep stretch. And pause here. This should feel good. Let your chest fall towards the ball. Let the hands be open, receptive. Find your breath. From here, we're going to take the hips and we're going to lift them up a little bit and wiggle your pelvis away from the ball. Refinding, reclaiming that length in the side waist. And then we're going to slowly lower the hips down and bring ourselves up to any relatively comfortable seated position. That can be on a bolster, a blanket, a yoga block, but sit in a way that feels comfortable for you. Then take your hands and push them down into your thighs so you can lift your chest up. And what we're doing, what we're always doing, is using our strength to find our length. Take a few deep breaths here, reclaiming the length and strength that's already in your body. We simply had to slow down enough today to discover it. Please bring your hands to your heart, project your sternum forward into your thumbs, have your thumbs press gently back. Take a moment to acknowledge yourself, your efforts this day. The opportunity to build a useful and usable practice at this time, in this place. Please raise your thumbs to your third eye and bow your head forward. Know that this feeling of strength and potential is available to us at all times. And everything we build in this practice, it's always been there. We simply uncover it, recover it, and discover it with consistent, intelligent, extremely hard work. And whenever you're ready, lift the head and open the eyes. Such good work. Please take this feeling of strength and length and potential with you into your day. Know that just a few really good exercises can really set you up for the entire week.